money, write a few things down.
And we shall start shortly, so but just chat amongst yourselves. And...
That's for two.
Are you excited because we're here?
Yes, we will.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, if I could have your attention, please. We're about to start. First, a quotation. The first view of the house was always a shock of delight. In the summer, one came up the hill to a garden, graceful and formal as its swimming pool, to take tea upon a lawn, under an ilex tree, under whose branches peacocks were standing, looking across at a house that had been warmed and mellowed by hundreds of summers, enjoying an ease that did not seem to belong to time or space. Well, good afternoon, and we welcome you to this second series of tours of Garsington Manor, an historic home here in Oxfordshire, made famous by Lady Otterline and Sir Philip Murrell. Now, that quotation, that description of Garsington, was written by one of many Oxford undergraduates who had been invited here to enjoy the company, the stimulation of being in the presence of its guest luminaries. You may recall, if you came on our first tour, that Lady Otterline had presided in London over a series of parties, gatherings, discussions, at which some of the leading writers, painters and philosophers of that day could come together to nurture their creative spirits in company with others of the same standing. They are known to us collectively as the Bloomsbury Group, after the area of London where Otterline and others lived. So, come along. Lady Otterline's determination to give her friends in London the opportunity to enjoy similar hospitality in the country led to the creation by her of the remarkable gardens at Garsington, and to the singular and idiosyncratic colouring of the house and rooms. She hoped to transport those creative parties from London to Garsington, so that her friends would feel at home and come and stay for weekends, even weeks at a time. An amazing array of visitors took up that offer. Our first tour dealt with 1917, and I should like to firstly mention what had happened to some of the guests from that earlier time. The painter, Mark Gertler, had become completely estranged from Dora Carrington. His pleas for a real commitment from her had fallen upon deaf ears, and he no longer visited. Dorothy Brett had gone to New Mexico with D.H. Lawrence and Frida, as she always said that she would. Virginia Woolf had entered into one of her periodic bouts of estrangement from Otterline and seemed to have become something of an enemy. There were later periods of reconciliation, however, when the friendship was resumed. Yet Virginia's sister, Vanessa Bell, was here with her current companion, Duncan Gruff. Also, there were Leonid Massin and Lydia Lopakova from the Ballet Russe. He is flamboyant as ever, she conducting a love affair with John Maynard Keynes. Carrington, too, remained a frequent visitor with Lytton Strachey and her current lover, Ralph Partridge. Come around here, please. Around this way. This way. Round here, please.
That's right.
And now, Aldous Huxley was here too, with his wife, Marianne Royce, whom he married in 1919. So, with a newcomer in view, would that not merely encourage each of the others to make an opening gambit?
I'm looking for Lady Otterline.
She could be anywhere.
Ah. Sprott.
Partridge.
I've just ridden across from Oxford.
Ah, here's your college.
Christ.
Ah,
Where are you?
Oriel.
Oh, I must have seen you somewhere. Did you row in 8th week last year?
Yes.
Yes, I thought I recognized you. Was the Prince of Wales at Oriel?
Yes, it's every year.
Did he row?
Yeah, he spent all his time playing polo and learning the ukulele. And that is when he wasn't cycling. That was when he wasn't sliding down the balustrade. We saw the tea tray balanced on his head.
Did you cycle over?
Yes, I rode up from town with the bike on the train, came up from the station. This is your first time, yes?
Oh, yes, I feel it's a great honour. Everyone's dying for an invitation. I mean, everyone who's anyone comes here.
And a good many who aren't.
Oh, you might meet the Prime Minister, or Bertrand Russell, or Lytton Strachey. Now, I really admire Strachey. Have you met him?
I live with him.
Ah,
What are you reading?
great. And you?
English, but I've just gone down. I'm working.
Civil service.
No.
Writing.
No, for a firm of publishers.
Oh, a reader.
No, I set the type, the Hogarth Press.
That's the Wolf's, isn't it?
There.
So you know Leonard and Virginia?
I practically live with them.
Sensation.
They have the press in their basement, very cold and cockroach.
Is she as mad as they say?
Oh, quite. But beautiful.
Ophelia.
They say her brother or half-brothers used to rape her.
I have a theory. I always suspected Polonius. No mothers, too.
Bridget, the original Ice Maiden.
Does she go in for herbs? Marjoram, myrrh, all that?
Makes a lot of mint sauce.
Ever thought of suicide?
Not since I got plowed on the Anglo-Saxon paper.
I meant Virginia.
Ah, no, not that I've noticed.
Not drawn to water.
Spends a lot of time in the bathroom.
Ah.
You're interested in Hamlet, I take it.
Yes, I'm writing my dissertation on it. A Freudian view of Ophelia.
I see. Try ringing again.
Oh, yes. Oh,
Yes, sir?
I'm looking for Lady Ophelia.
Lady Otterline. Oh, she's down. Oh, down by the swimming pool, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Apparently she's
Down by the pool, yes. If you've got a costume, we can join her down there. Otherwise, we can go down to the lake.
What a beautiful morning. Beautiful.
Oui, quelle belle journée. Alors, let me see. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Quelle belle cravate.
Merci.
Leonushka, tu es mariée maintenant.
Oui, oui. Quel beau garçon.
Mais oui.
Je sens qu'on va s'amuser comme lui.
That's Leonid Massine from the Ballet Russe. I saw him at Covent Garden in Petrushka. He is sensational.
Yes, and that's Lopakova. She's not a bad sort.
Yeah, he's not bad either.
Come on, I'll show you where to change.
Thanks, Partridge. I think I'll just wander around and watch. Maybe dangle my feet in. I wouldn't dare swim in the same pool as Massine.
All right, come inside. I'll show you where to put your things.
Thanks, Partridge.
Oh, good morning, sir.
Well, Lytton!
That's what you've been doing. Oh, Maynard.
Hello! Oh, well, it seems like years since we've met. Oh, 18 months, actually. I don't believe I ever congratulated you for Queen Victoria. Not in person, I mean. I wrote, of course.
Of course.
I was in Paris when it was published. Biography will never be the same.
That seemed to be the general opinion. Critics seem to think that I changed history into a lurid work of fiction.
Well, you certainly portrayed the virtuous Victoria as an avid sexual partner who wore out the poor bemused Albert with her demands.
Come.
Well, reading between the lines, of course.
Of course. I did have a lot more about that lusty Highlander, John Brown, and Victoria, serenading her with his bagpipes. A gilly fishing in dangerous waters. But I couldn't publish it, of course. I mean, after all, the lady in question is the grandmother of the king.
And what's brewing in that devious mind now? More queens?
Well, I had thought of Anne, not without interest, or Caroline, but I'm tending towards Elizabeth, the Virgin Queen.
Your Majesty.
Oh, that last mad infatuation with Essex, and then the dread moment when she signed his death warrant. Oh, some of the most dramatic moments in history. They simply haunt me. If only Shakespeare had lived 50 years later, he would have written a play about it. Oh, it would have been better than Cleopatra, don't you think?
Well, heaven preserve us from George Bernard Shaw. You saw his Caesar in Cleopatra, I suppose?
Yeah. I agree with the critic that said he managed to change the dignity of a great queen into the antics of an Egyptian slut to suit the talents of Mrs. Patrick Campbell.
Ah, still infatuated.
Oh, if that vegetable-eating Fabian with knitted socks could be infatuated about anything. I must be moving on. Did you know that delicious Sebastian broth is here this weekend?
Sebastian?
Yes. See you at luncheon.
Sebastian! Sebastian!
Oh, Sebastian.
Visitors to Garsington could expect many surprises. Apart from the rather unusual parties taking place within the house, there was a great deal of artistic activity taking place in the grounds. One of the favourite places for artists to set up their easels was at the stables, and it's to them that we shall now proceed.
These gardens were a hive of artistic activity, and the stables formed an excellent backdrop. One might see Duncan Grant there, perhaps drawing his erotic sketches. The truth to tell, the Bloomsburys had very little in the way of inhibitions about nudity. There exists a number of famous photographs of members of that group in naked poses in various locations around the grounds. For example, Carrington was photographed draped around the statue on the other side of these gardens. Likewise, Ottoline's daughter, Julian Murrell, was photographed with a friend. Conventionality is deadness. That's what Ottoline said in her memoirs, and I'm sure the Bloomsburys agreed. Now, the working staff at Garsington, of whom my grandfather was one, were well and truly trained not to gawk at the goings-on. Of course, they thought that behaviour to be nothing more than scandalous and outrageous, which was the hoped-for reaction. But they couldn't resist peeping. Come along. Through here, please. Come along, through here. Even Lytton Strachey, no Greek god he, was the subject of some drawings done by his cousin Duncan, who could be very persuasive en plein air.
How's the painting going?
Oh, I'm happy with it.
Oh, you're always happy with everything. With your art, with the world, with all your innumerable love affairs of all shapes, sizes, colours, and sexes.
And why not? There's no point being miserable about them.
No point. But people don't willingly get into a tiz about their art or their affairs, but few serious artists or passionate lovers seem to avoid it. You are like a pot on the stove, a pot of succulent soup, always on the boil and never boiling over.
You must admit it saves a lot of unpleasant mopping up and burnt fingers. You painting today?
Oh, I'm making a few sketches for what they're worth. Trees, flowers.
Your sketches are always delightful, original, and full of wit. You must show them to me later.
I may tear them up.
Please don't.
Well, don't mind me. Get started.
I need models, men. Do you remember Leonard Smithers, that fat, sleazy publisher used to commission Beardsley for pornography he gets under the counter?
Yes.
He's commissioned me for a folio of obscene drawings.
Oh, you'll enjoy that.
Of course, but I need models. Doesn't seem to be anyone decent around this weekend.
You're a very dashing-looking young man. I don't know wandering around. Well, he has very flamboyant touch.
Oh, well, he won't need that. You don't know his name?
No.
Maybe he'll do. I remember you and Vanessa and Virginia posing for me at the gardens at Charleston. You were magnificent. What bosoms and legs.
Wasted on you, you made us look like tree trunks.
Very graceful, some tree trunks. Like some young cypress, tall and dark and straight, that in a queen's secluded garden casts its slight dark shadow on the moonlit turf. Don't you remember the Oxfordshire poet?
Well, yes, but you made us look like gnarled old poplars. I am surprised to hear you quoting poetry.
Ah, well, you can't live with Lytton for 6 years without learning something.
You taught me all I know.
Not at all. Taught you nothing about painting, which after all is your life. Don't forget it.
By the way, what did you call that painting you did of the three of us?
3 goddesses, of course.
Oh, yes, and which was which?
Well, Vanessa had to be Ceres, all that cornucopia, Mother Earth fertility sort of thing. Virginia had to be Athena, all that intellectual stuff and classic features.
And me?
Artemis, chaste huntress divine.
Oh. Do you really think that's me?
Well, wouldn't you like to see a man torn to pieces by hounds for attempting to pierce your virginity?
Find that rather shocking?
Remember Mark Gertler?
He survived.
Marginally. All right. I'll change you to Aphrodite and her chariot drawn by doves. You draw a lot of doves after all.
Well, I'm going. If I see any possibles, I'll send them along.
I have a theory. Artemis, chaste huntress divine, is attacked by hounds, which represent the masculine, whereas, say, the feminine would be symbolized by, well, by a cat.
How very interesting. I think you've found the possible. Goodbye.
Yes, goodbye. I'm W.J.H. Sprott. My friends call me Sebastian.
Duncan Grant.
Yes, I recognize you. Are you doing landscapes?
Actually, I'm producing a folio of obscene drawings for a limited edition.
Very limited, I imagine.
Oh, yes, it will only run for 30 copies, but it will be quite expensive. 25 guineas a copy in Morocco bound.
Yes, I have a rare edition of Dante's Inferno, bound in red Morocco. It gives me a real frisson just to run my fingers down its spine.
Oh, I'm sure Dante would have thought up some appropriate punishment.
Oh, no doubt, if he'd actually thought up such an esoteric device.
I wonder, dear fellow, if you would be so good as to pose for me.
You mean here, outside?
I thought so. It's a good opportunity. I have so few models at Charleston. The yokels are frightfully respectable. They think nothing of fathering illegitimate children on their adolescent daughters, but to take their trousers down would incur the wrath of heaven or the Methodist preacher.
You mean to pose with my trousers down? Well, anyone could come past, the gardeners, housemaid.
The staff at Garsington have been trained never to look at guests unless fully clad.
Lady off the line?
She'd be thrilled. She'd note it down as the event of the day on her handmade amber notepaper impregnated with gardenias. Haven't you had a note from Lady Ott yet?
No.
You will. Oh, come along, dear fellow. I want to get some sketches done before luncheon.
I'd like to keep my tie on.
You may hold it in your left hand.
Isn't it hard to draw erotic pictures with only one participant?
It's a start. I can use this pose and put in another later on. Must you cling to your modesty?
Oh, well, there are ladies in the party.
Not many. Mrs. Asquith won't be here, you know. All right. Kneel down. Cup your hands. Look up. Ecstatically if you can manage it. Mouth slightly open. Yes.
What am I supposed to be doing?
Good God, man, weren't you at Eton? Just pretend you're some snotty fag and the first bat of the 11 is towering over you.
Ah!
Great! Just the man for the job!
I've got to change. Lady Ockline's asked me to meet her in the Rose Garden.
Oh, Lady Ott can wait. Put that towel down. I want you to pose over here, like this. Splendid. Now hold it.
I say, that tie's a knockout. Where'd you get it?
Oh, yes. I was having a drink with Picasso at the Café Royal, and he started drawing on those table napkins. He was working on the decor for his Spanish ballet. When he finished, he turned to me and said, "Here, make a tie out of this." I always believe that a well-knotted tie is the first serious step in life.
If only we had a third. Miss C! Have you a minute? I'm making some quick sketches.
Oh, what about me? I do good pose, Duncan.
I'm afraid it's gentlemen only.
Oh, well, I go to see Maynard. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I shall see you later, Lydia.
What is this for? You're needed for a pas de trois.
A pas de trois. And these are the others.
I need another fellow to complete the pose. Do you think you could stand like this?
No, Duncan, I have just been swimming. I'm quite wet and I'm beginning to shiver.
Don't fret. We shall soon get that circulation up. I need you to stand behind Rafe like this. Or would you prefer to be in the middle?
No. Excuse me.
Certainly.
Besides, if this drawing is exhibited, it will ruin my reputation.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Not at all. I shan't put the faces in. That's not the point. That's excellent. Now stay still.
My knees are getting stiff.
Nonsense. An athlete like you should be able to hold that pose for minutes.
Is this a heavenly vision? Why didn't you tell me that you were sketching these Adonises? I would have posed for you too.
Oh, do hurry up. I'm getting pins and needles.
Oh, I'll take your place, dear boy. Anytime.
Do shut up. You're spoiling the intensity.
And to think I was in my lonely room, fiddling with the Virgin Queen.
Well, that will do. I've got it down. You're a good trio. Can you come back later? After tea's a good time.
Oh, yes, I can make that easily.
Merci.
No, I don't think I can. I am creating a new ballet for the water.
Oh, water ballet?
Yes. Besides, this one is too cold. I don't want to catch the flu.
I should like to very much. Ray?
Oh, if you insist.
Then we'll meet after tea. Good afternoon. They're for my erotic sketches. Publisher has commissioned me and I need the money.
Oh, you can put me down for a copy. I've been asked to co-write a volume of obscene limericks. You'd know a few, wouldn't you?
These three are very good. Wish they could post me at Charleston. It's so hard to find good models.
Remember Mallory? He posed for you at Cambridge.
Mallory was the best model I've ever had. What a magnificent physique.
Oh, a Greek god. Oh, and to think he's now embedded in the ice on the slopes of Everest. Oh, what a waste. Do you remember his ears? They used to fascinate me. I used to want to bite them.
Yes, I expect you did.
My tie. Oh.
That's Sebastian Roth has interesting ears. Did you notice?
No, wasn't exactly concentrating on the ears. Stand there. I'll make a quick sketch of it. Take your book out.
Oh, all right.
That's good. Very good.
Well, we turn now to the orchards of Garsington, where the poets and writers sought refuge from the recruiting officers of World War I. So come along. Even Lytton Strachey had to confront the recruiting officers at the dreaded tribunals for a number of times during the war years. And Sir Philip Murrell was one of his witnesses. Lytton once said, "I've never actually seen an intellectual who was fit." Let me tell you a bit about the Huxleys. Aldous loved coming to Garsington. He'd met Maria here when she was a Belgian refugee in World War I, being looked after by Otterline as part of the Murrells' commitment to pacifism. Aldous loved hectically talking with intelligent people, and his talk was ribald, cynical, and brilliant. Maria was bowled over by Otterline, fascinated and dazzled. She adored Otterline. Oh, this way, please. Come along. Come along, please, quickly as you can. Behind this line. Here we are, just behind this line. Now, the Huxley's marriage was generally a very long and happy one, but not without its trials. You see, in the 20s, Aldous had become rather obsessed with a young socialite named Nancy Cunard, who was waywardly elegant and incarnately alluring. Why, he'd spent nights pacing the streets up and down below her window. So, how could Maria fight such an opponent and resolve this rift in her life?
You're working very hard, Vanessa. We hardly see you.
I need to paint, and I need to be alone.
Are you unhappy? Is it Duncan? You haven't quarreled.
No, never. He's kind and loving and generous. He's a wonderful companion.
Is it your work? Aren't you happy with it?
Not always.
But your exhibition in Windsor...
It wasn't thought worth reviewing. Not a single critic took the trouble to write a line about it. My first one-artist show. Nothing.
Your painting has its own lovely qualities of colour and serenity. It's so fresh, so full of happiness.
I'm scared of being a weak imitation of Duncan. Well, I try to paint on my own, but it's so tempting to sit at my easel beside him, to know he's there. And then the work we do together, decorating friends' houses and sharing ideas.
I envy you both your talent. I can never experience that supreme ecstasy of the creative artist. It is the one sadness in my life. I think in another life I was a painter, or perhaps a poet.
Often a frustrating life.
One day you will paint a truly great picture. Anyway, I'm glad there's no trouble with Duncan.
Oh, no trouble. But life with him is so good. I'm always afraid he'll just slip away. We all know he has lovers, and now I see he's attracted to Sebastian.
Here, what is the matter? Are you ill?
It's nothing. I have an headache. I'm going upstairs to lie down.
Something is the matter. I knew it was as soon as you arrived. Is it Aldous? I see.
Everything is so difficult. The flat's so small. The baby cries, disturbs Aldous when he's trying to work. He gets angry and... I've never cooked, but I do try. I try very hard. Sometimes I even make porridge.
Some of these little flats in Princess Gate are hardly meant for a family. Do you have a proper kitchen?
There's a tiny room in the basement. It's dark, has a stone floor. There's a cement sink with an hole, that's all.
Well, no stove?
Oh, no. No, I hold a small saucepan over the pilot light as a geyser in the bathroom to boil him an egg.
Oh, my dear girl. You were too young to get married. Then Aldous, of all people, he's so helpless. He needs a mother, not a wife and a child.
Aldous has to work so hard. There's not enough money. Has to keep writing reviews, essays, stories for magazine. His book is starting to sell, but it makes only about £100 altogether in royalties, and he wants to write another novel, but there's just no time.
Oh, poor boy. He needs leisure and time to relax and not have to worry about earning a living.
Exactly.
But there it is. You two children would rush off and marry.
He says he needs wider horizons. I can see that. Tiny studies in the basement and looks out on all the dustbins.
I'm sure his book will do well. Still, if I may say so, I hate it. Things will improve and you'll be able to move to a better flat. It won't always be like this. Now one day you look back on it all and laugh, and then Aldous will put it all into one of his books. So dry your eyes.
That's not everything. That's bad, but I can manage. It's Nancy Cunard.
Nancy Cunard? You mean Emerald's wild daughter?
Oh, you know Lady Cunard and her friends, aristocracy, but they terrify me, and Nancy, I'm afraid she's taking Aldous from me.
My dear, Aldous is lashing out.
Yes.
He always seems such a quiet, studious young man. Well, on occasion.
He goes out every night. They sit in cafes, nightclubs, drinking, and Aldous cannot drink. I'm terrified when he comes home late at night. His eyesight is so poor. It's bad enough in the day, but at night he's practically blind. He has to ride his bicycle to assignments in the daytime because he cannot see traffic. I'm terrified he will be killed at night, and sometimes he stays out all night.
Well, Nancy Cunard certainly has a reputation. She's crazy enough for anything.
But Aldous, she's so fascinating. Everyone's in love with her. Beautiful, wealthy, knows everyone. Have you seen her?
Oh, yes, of course. I know her mother well. Lady Cunard and her tedious salons. The Nancy, yes, she is very striking looking. Those huge, bright blue eyes. And elegant, no, exotic, that's the word. Ambitious. She wrote that dreadful attack on her mother. Not that I didn't laugh. The Negroes. I believe she lives with a jazz player. And they say she's a communist.
I know she's just playing with Aldous, but I think he means to go away with her. She's always traveling to Persia, and I know he longs to get away. Oh, brilliant young men hanging on her every word.
Yes, she's a formidable rival. Vanessa, how many advisors? You know Nancy Cunard?
Everyone in London knows her. Everyone's painting her portrait.
She's taken a fancy to Aldous. They're having an affair.
I know.
Well, Maria's in trouble. What must she do?
Oh, well, it can't last, surely. I think he means to go away with her. He doesn't sleep, he's exhausted, he's never been strong. Well, you could be French and ignore his infidelities. Oh, well, I'm not French, I'm Belgian. I read a letter he wrote to her. He said he will die if he cannot have her. You see? He's obsessed. Well, then you must call his bluff. Are you going home tomorrow? Oh, yes. He cannot wait to see her again. Very well. When you get home, begin to pack. Don't speak. Pack up everything, and put it all into a trunk and rope it up. Be quite calm and practical, and say that you're going to your mother in France. But my mother has no money. It's tied up in Germany. She can't get to it. Oh, never mind. She has influential friends. You'll survive. Say that your mind is made up. He must either come with you or stay on alone.
I remember that letter. I will die if I cannot have you. You see, he is obsessed.
Men don't always mean that.
No. A man killed himself for my sister. I was there. My father walked into the room, saw the man lying in a pool of blood. My father said, "Oh, it's inconceivable." The man opened his eyes and said, "Oh, it's not inconceivable." Then closed them again. You see, people who do it this morning is dangerous.
Oh, well, then the best thing you can do is to get out of London at once. Oh, you'll see.
He'll get over it. He'll put her into a book with the rest of us.
And if you do decide to go together, well, you simply throw the contents of the trunk out into the street and live with nothing apart from your toothbrushes, your passports, and the baby. And the nurse, of course. Start afresh. Wipe out the whole affair as if it had never existed.
You are strong, you can do this, but I...
Oh, you can do it too. If you've coped for 3 years in 2 rooms with Aldous, well, you can do anything.
And suppose he does go away with her?
He won't.
I don't know. What else can you do?
Aldous is conventional at heart. He loves you. He loves his child. But he needs shaking up hard or else he might.
I will do it. Even if I have to go alone, it's better than seeing him go to her every night.
Oh, he won't.
You have enough money to get to Paris?
Yes. Well, you could go on to Italy. Living's cheap there, and Aldous can send on his stories to London. He'll have time to write his books. Think about it.
I will, but I think I will go lie down, though. I really do have an headache.
I'll bring you up a sachet for it in a little while.
Maria!
Will it work?
Very Aldous, I think it might.
And we have to move on. So follow me, down through past the rose garden, through the lawns, come along. We're going to the lakeside. Lady Otterline had a gift for cultivating gardens, almost as good as her gift for cultivating people. As we proceed, there's her famous rose garden, with a vivid flame-red rose, which still bears her name, I'm told. Now, while we proceed along, allow me to name-drop just a little. D.H. Lawrence and Frida were frequent guests at Garsington. D.H. Lawrence was one of the most talented and most problematic of guests. He lived with Frida in the annex of Garsington for some months, and the crockery flew, and the arguments raged. Not for Frida was the Bloomsbury Code of Conduct, about which I shall explain more later. So come along, please. Here we are, through here, please. All the way through here. You are please, as again you can, ladies and gentlemen. Get through here, come along. Come on, please. Now, let me tell you that Ralph Partridge was a wartime friend of Carrington's brother Noel. He met Carrington at Tidmarsh, the house that she had set up with Lytton Strachey. And indeed, Lytton rather took to him too. He fell deeply in love with Carrington. Now, Partridge had been something of a sensualist and a womanizer before meeting Carrington, and indeed the knowledge of that very masculine virility made Lytton admire him. But would Carrington accept a proposal?
But don't you like what you're drawing?
Oh, I'm not really in the mood.
Well, draw me.
Oh, well, come down and I might. It's no good. I can't settle for anything this afternoon.
Talk to me. Tell me your troubles.
Why should I?
Good practice.
Who for?
For me. Haven't you heard of Dr. Freud? Well, one day I might be a psychologist. And there aren't any yet, at least not here, so I should start on you.
Well, I'd be too difficult, too complex and too contradictory. I never know myself how I really think or feel. All I know is I'm totally confused. Sometimes, well, I even wonder if it isn't women I love, not men.
Perfect. Go on.
Oh. Well, all I know is that I love Lytton. I think if he ever left me, I don't know what I'd do, and I can't see further than that. I dreamt last night. He was walking through this grey mist. I was trying to walk towards him, but the more I tried to find him, the further away he seemed to be. He turned towards me once. Well, I started to run. The mist got thicker and thicker and darker. I knew he'd gone.
Oh! The only therapy for you is tickle torture, Cannington. Where's he gone? I'm going to tickle you and pounce on you like a tiger. Here I come. Whoa! Pounce!
Oh, God, no!
I've got you now. Oh, I'm too cruel. Where were we? Yes, dreams. Now, dreams are the thing. The interpretation of dreams is going to play a large part in explaining ourselves to ourselves. Now, the new theory is that we work out in dreams situations too painful to be experienced in life.
Oh, well, I don't want to talk anymore. I've got to work this out for myself.
True.
Oh, you are a help. You always know how things are with me.
Oh.
Perhaps it's because you don't get too intense about things.
Ah. We were just talking about dreams.
Yes.
Do you dream a lot, Partridge?
No.
They say we actually dream continuously in our sleep, even though we don't remember the dreams themselves. I must say, I find that rather hard to believe.
Nonsense, I would say.
Well, I'll be off. I've got some reading to do before dinner.
Goodbye.
Oh, my shoe.
Oh, how embarrassing. I thought you'd gone back to London. Aren't you supposed to be working at the Hogarth Press?
I stayed because I must talk to you. I explained to Virginia how things were, and she said I could stay on as long as I needed to. I certainly wasn't much use to her in my present state. I broke down in front of her and Leonard. I set an entire page upside down. It's no use. I can't work, I can't think, I can't concentrate on anything. There's nothing in the world I want except you. Marry me.
I can't, you know I can't.
Why? We're lovers. Sexually, we're made for each other, isn't that true? You've told me time and time again that I'm the only man you want to make love to. Or have you changed? Or is there someone else?
There's no one else. You know how I feel. I don't want to commit myself.
What's wrong with a commitment? Ain't this lack of stability, this feeling that you might go off to Italy with Lytton and come back with a new lover?
I've no intention of doing that. It's the freedom I need. I need to feel that if I did, I wouldn't have to feel guilty to account for my movements. Why should women belong to anyone? Why shouldn't I take a lover if I want to? I'm very fond of you, Rafe. You know that. You're the one person I can give myself to depend on, and for lots of other reasons. But a lifetime's vows. Oh, no, they're not for me. It's not that I'll change, I won't. But why should people be tied? Why shouldn't they take several lovers if they want to?
You mean at the same time?
Oh, why not? Oh, it's immoral? What does that matter? To know someone intimately, to feel the warmth of their love and affection, to be close to someone you can confide in. Surely it's life's one refuge. It's absurd to imagine we were only there for one person.
Things are never simple with you. There has to be the added spice of deception. You'll have to stir up jealousy.
Be honest. Wouldn't you find it more fascinating to have several lovers than to have to make a choice?
No! I have chosen. That is enough for me. And if you won't have me, then I shall leave. For good.
Where would you go?
To Bolivia.
Why Bolivia?
Well, it's a lovely country, so I believe. And I shall buy a sheep farm. It would be peaceful, at least.
A sheep farm? I can't think of anything more boring.
I have always liked sheep. I find them calming and undemanding.
You can't be serious.
I am. I like the way they look at you with those little amber eyes. So you're not there.
We miss you so much. Well, Lytton's devoted to you, you know that. He's desperately upset if he had to find another lover, and I don't count his casual encounters. We all know about them. But he needs someone. Now we have the new house, I thought we could be happy together. We belong together. If you leave, Lytton might go too. You know how much you mean to him, how we both depend on you.
It's not enough. No, of course you'd miss me. There'd be no one to drive the motor, no one to fix the pump when it gives up, no one to start the generator or water the plants or feed the cats or plant the potatoes. Where are you?
Don't be ridiculous. We both love you. It's not a handyman we want.
Sometimes I wonder.
Look, I know you think I can't commit myself, but I'm afraid to.
You won't commit yourself, but you won't let go, isn't that true?
Yes, it's true. I am afraid of many things. What is my painting? If I got married, it might take second place. People always say women can't be great artists. You can't be a female creator of art and have a husband and children. The few who became great never got married and had children. Now, isn't that so?
I don't know. I never thought about it.
I have. The great ones never married. Emily Bronte and her sisters, Jane Austen, Sappho, Queen Elizabeth, and, well, painters like Bertha Morisot and Jonathan, they're all single.
Is that the real reason?
I don't want to merge myself with another person. I don't want to lose myself as an individual.
If we married, I wouldn't expect that to happen. I want you to stay just as you are, an artist, independent, free to do as you like. And if we were to have a child, you might find it would draw us together in a way that no casual liaison can do.
Child? I don't want children. I may be the only woman in the world who feels like this, but at least I'm honest. Children are tiresome, time-consuming. They interrupt the flow of life. You deviate for them. I like the company of grown-up human beings. If when I'm 38 and I still haven't had any success as an artist, I might just think about having a child.
You know, I do love ham spray, and I want to go on living with you both. But I want us to marry. Think about it, Carrington. I can't keep going on in this haphazard way. It makes me feel you don't love me.
Of course I love you. I'll always be your friend and love you. You know as well as I do, Lytton comes first.
This time I mean it, Carrington.
If I say yes, well, if I say yes, it doesn't mean I'm passionately in love with you. Perhaps I'm incapable of that. Sexually, I want you. As a friend, I love you.
I understand. But I want an answer today.
Ah, ladies and gentlemen, the lake. What stories I could tell you. Come along. In the summertime, they loved to boat on the lake. There were two boats. One called the Lady Offline, the second the Lady Chatterley. And of course, many of the guests were highly skilled oarsmen from their university days. Before the pool was built, the lake was used for swimming too. Come along quickly as you can, please. Here we are. Right. On one famous occasion, Lucy the maid swam naked in the lake when Asquith, who was then the Prime Minister, turned up with his retinue, which included a handsome Guards officer. Now, there was quite a commotion when it suddenly appeared that Lucy was drowning. So, the Guards officer dived in, only to hit his head on the bottom. It was 4 foot deep, you see. So I'm sure you understand the situation. Now, this lakeside scene must have seen many a love scene, a breakup, a reconciliation. Perhaps it was here that Ottoline discovered that even some of her closest friends could not resist using her and Garsington in their work in ways that seemed to mock her, despite her generosity to them. So with friends like those, who needs enemies? You see, on our rather fateful weekend, Lady Ottoline had just received her copy of Aldous Huxley's latest novel, Chrome Yellow.
Maria, wherever are you going with those suitcases?
I'm going to France.
Maria, have you gone crazy?
I don't know, but I don't think so.
What do you mean going to France? How can you possibly go to France? Anyhow, you're going the wrong way.
I'm going the back way. I don't want anyone to see me. Anyhow, it's quite simple. I go first to London, I book the ticket, I take our babies and Nanny, and we all go to my mother.
You mean you want to go for a holiday, yes?
No, I go for good. I never return to London, never. Now I must go.
Now, explain this nonsense.
This new lover, this Nancy Cunard. You say you cannot give her up. You cannot live without her. Well, I say do so. Go with her to Algeria, to Shanghai, to Ceylon. Go wherever you like. But me, I go to France.
Give me time, Maria. You must understand, nothing like this has ever happened to me before. I'm stunned. I'm enchanted. But please, give me a little time to come to my senses, to escape this obsession. The drug will wear off, I know it will.
I have waited. I know that while you're in the same country with her, you will destroy yourself. But not me. I leave. I take only our baby and my toothbrush. Everything else is yours. I want nothing to make me think of you. Nothing. There, see there. It is all yours.
Stop! Please. Now explain everything.
I take the boat train to Paris. I go to my mother and my sister. I never come back. I live again in France. You may come with me if you like. Or leave everything, the flat, our furniture. It's worth nothing. We live together again in France.
But my work. How can I possibly keep you in Paris?
Your book?
No.
Already it makes money. You can write your stories in Paris. Many writers live there, cheaper than London. If you like, we shall go to Italy, which I know you love. For Garsington, I leave. You must choose.
Look, let's go back to London together. We can talk it over. Perhaps it is a good idea that you go to your mother for a little while. We can make a plan.
I have made a plan. Will you come with me? You must tell me now.
Yes, I'll come. Tomorrow we'll go to town together.
And
if you still want to, we'll go to Paris.
And you will not see her again, not even to say goodbye.
Not even that. Not once.
Not once. You must promise.
I promise you. I couldn't live without you and our son. I think you know that, don't you? Now, let's get all these things and throw them in the lake. Stand on the bank and watch them drift away. Come along. Let's see what you've packed in here, you crazy girl. Oh my goodness, let's get started. Woo! Oh, there we go.
What are you two doing? Aldous, you trying to do your washing in the lake? You may use the laundry maid, you know.
Yes.
Come along, we're going to watch the boating. It's Duncan's idea.
Lovely.
Aldous, you stay here. I have something to say to you.
Yes?
I was pleased to receive the copy of your new book, Chrome Yellow.
Oh, I hope you liked it.
I was outraged by it. Many writers have put Garsington into their books. Sometimes I feel that whenever they're hard up for ideas, they come here, notebook in hand, and go away with a new novel. Most of them seem to find my life here an inexhaustible subject for mockery. Oh, yes, I'm used to it by now. After Lawrence's Women in Love, I thought I had drunk the cup of ridicule to the dregs. That old carrion is a phrase I have not forgotten. But your book caps all.
But all writers base their characters on people they know. Why, I take a bet that Milton knew someone exactly like his Satan. I really must go.
Wait, do you think I don't recognize myself? I'm there in the first few pages. I've marked the bits. Page 6. Priscilla Wimbush, with her square, middle-aged face, with a massive projecting nose, and liqueur of a curiously improbable shade of orange.
Yes.
Not content with that, you go on. Was it the real thing and henna, he wondered? Or was it one of those transformations one reads about in the advertisements? Yes, the odd...
Transformation. Yes.
Is that your idea of loyalty to a friend? A friend who has given you sympathy and support since you left Eton?
But Lady Otterline, it's not you. No, it's an exaggerated character who happens to have red...
Everyone recognizes me as this grotesque caricature! And Henry Wimbush? I suppose that was meant for my husband?
Sir Philip?
Yes. And friends you met here. Carrington! You couldn't have made her more recognizable. It's cruel and it's vicious.
I took the setting of Garsington, yes, but I changed it. Why, there were Norman towers and turrets.
Yours is not art! It's journalism and photography, and it's not very good reproduction at that.
You must forgive me. I never meant to cause you any distress.
Next time you write of a titled lady in her country house who supports the arts, make her 5'2", blonde, and unmarried.
Good God.
We were just discussing cream yellow.
I simply immersed myself in it. A great achievement, Aldous, a great achievement.
Thank you very much.
Of course, being one of your few friends that doesn't appear in it, I suppose puts me in a unique position of having an impartial view.
Quite.
If you're not in this one, must be because he's saving you up for the next.
You really must excuse me, please. And believe me, Lady Otterline, no malice was intended.
What do you really think of the book?
I haven't read much of it. Oh, I did make a valiant attempt, but I'm afraid my interest flagged. I suppose it's a worthy enough subject, the satirization of society, but I'm afraid it doesn't interest me at all. You see, the trouble with Huxley is, well, the man just can't write. Let me a few chapters of his next novel, Those Barren Leaves, he's going to call it. Well, they fluttered from my hand before they reached the port.
I'm getting to resent this perpetual castigation of myself and Garsington and the young writers. Thank heavens you only write biography.
Ah, now be careful. Remember, Elizabeth had red hair, green eyes, and lots of lovers.
Are you enjoying her?
Oh, I'm dangerously infatuated with the woman. I sometimes wish that she had fallen victim to the knife of a Jesuit, or else the Armada had had a resounding victory.
I'm sure it will all be brilliant.
You know, I sometimes go into a fantasy, and I become Elizabeth. When the young Essex is kneeling before me, I go into an erotic trance, and there are waves and waves of feeling. Of course, it's very satisfying, but not at all good for my morale. You understand that?
Anyone who has studied the occult accepts such experiences with joy.
I simply lose myself in the subject. I go back to the sexual fantasies of my youth. A young gondolier I used to know. Oh, he had the most fascinating eyelashes. Oh, I had to throw my arms around him and bite his ear. Did you know that the mutilation of the ear is a torture that they used in the 16th century? Along with castration. Yes, they used to sever off 1/6 of the ear for the first offence, and then so on until the entire ear was gone. Yes, I've done a lot of research into the matter. I just simply can't stop reading about it. Leaves me in a perpetual state of erection.
And what about your present love affairs?
Oh, yes, I have a lovely new lover. Yes. Ah, yes, a charming boy. But there's a bit of a lull in the proceedings. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, he's getting married on Friday.
Legend, you're incorrigible.
I want to tell you how much I admire your book on Queen Victoria. Everyone at Oxford is talking about it. It must be wonderful to have a great success.
Well, actually, it makes me rather nervous. I begin to wonder whether it's good or not. I mean, can a successful author really be a great one? I mean, when the critics say that my treatment of Victoria was both sincere and discreet, I wonder if they mean tedious and dull. My next one is really going to shock them all and redeem my reputation. Oh, look, they're boating. Hello! Don't fall in.
You must have read Virginia Woolf's latest booklet.
Oh, yes, To the Lighthouse. Yes, interesting contribution to British literature. Oh, thank you. Of course, the trouble with Virginia's writing is the complete lack of copulation. I mean, I don't mean actual, that would be asking too much, but not even implied.
That's Virginia. I mean, there's no sexuality in her marriage.
Well, I suppose there's what we say, a certain amount of symbolism with the lighthouse. I mean, with some authors that would be rather obvious, but with Virginia it doesn't suit her sexless pattern.
Oh, was there any reaction from the palace about Victoria?
Oh, yes, yes. I was invited to Buckingham Palace. Really? Yes, instantly I started thinking of a knighthood, you know, and those lovely little blue garters that they give you. But it wasn't to be. No, I arrived, and the door opened silently, and out walked one of the aides, Lord Sandringham, you know him. And he was bearing on a crimson cushion the book, open at page 35. And he said in even tones, "The King has requested me to ask you to make a correction." It seems the King was very angry about my treatment of Victoria's sexual appetite and got quite red in the face.
What about Queen Mary? What did she do?
Oh, she took it with her usual icy dignity. But the Prince of Wales, I believe, laughed uproariously at my treatment of John Brown and Victoria. Oh, Sebastian, by the way, have you ever been to Spain?
No.
Oh, I'm organising a tour out there in the autumn. Would you care to join us?
You really mean that?
Oh, of course, my boy.
Well, I'd love to.
Oh, what a lovely big red juicy one.
Now, just allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to give you a footnote on the Huxleys. See, the ultimatum did work, quite truly. They packed up, they went to Italy. Aldous wrote the next novel, Antic Hay, and the marriage survived until Maria's death in 1955. So we carry on over there. Come along. Under the trees of Garsington. Amidst the beauties of the trees of Garsington, the remarkable domestic arrangements of Lytton, Carrington and Partridge seem to be heading towards some sort of a resolution. Now, as to Lytton, Carrington and Partridge, was it to be a continuing ménage à trois, or was it to be pas de trois?
What are you reading?
The metaphysical poet.
Which one?
Oh, Andrew Marvell, To His Coy Mistress.
Oh, read it to me. I need something to calm me down.
Had we but world enough and time, this coyness lady were no crime. We would sit down and think which way to walk and pass our long love's day. Thou by the Indian Ganges side shouldst rubies find, I by the tide of Humber would complain. I would love you 10 years before the flood. You should, if you please, refuse till the conversion of the Jews. Oh, isn't it exquisite? Sly, gentle humour of the man. I love that line. till the conversion of the Jews.
I love it. And I love you when you read to me. It's my heaven. I feel better now. Listen, I have got something to tell you. Something very important.
Oh, you've bought the white leghorns.
No, much more important than that.
Oh.
I've decided to marry Rafe.
You've decided to marry Rafe? Well, congratulations that you... Not such a coy mistress, after all.
Well, he's asked me many times, as you know. This time he's threatening to leave, to go to Bolivia for good.
No, nobody goes to Bolivia for good. For 6 months, maybe. I mean, once those winter winds blow down from the Andes, you'll be back.
But it would break up our life together, I know it would. Rafe's part of your life, too. The house we've spent so much time on, and all your money from Queen Victoria. We've spent so much time painting it and planting out the garden. It could all go. All the plans we've made, the three of us. I never want to leave you, Lytton. I couldn't bear life without you.
But I'll always be here. Or somewhere. And when I'm dead, my ghost will flit around Garsington and hide behind hedges and sit beneath the trees.
You frighten me. Never talk about your ghost again. It's a bad omen.
I'm sorry. I didn't realize you were so superstitious.
Only about you. I dreamt last night I was a man. Or a sort of man. I had some sort of equipment I could put on or take off at will. It made me veil. I was quite pleased. I took it off and I put in a sort of satchel thing hanging from my shoulder. Wasn't that strange? When I woke up, I was quite sorry I was a woman again. If I was a man, you'd love me more, wouldn't you?
Not more. Differently, perhaps. There are many kinds of love, and we should just be grateful when we're touched by one of them.
Sometimes I think my passion for you is an embarrassment to you. For me, it is a passion. It's the only one I've ever felt or ever will feel. Oh, I must irritate you with my stupidity.
Oh, never.
Oh, yes, I know it. I don't measure up to your intellectual friends. Clive Bell came out to hand spray. You were all talking about Pope. Well, I've read Pope too, you know, but he never addressed a word to me. He never thought I could have an opinion, and when he did speak to me, he said, "How are the new chicks getting on? I heard you bought an incubator."
Well, the man has no manners.
Let me go on. Lately I felt more stupid than ever. Oh, I have dreadful misgivings. I'm afraid of boring you. Sometimes I'm even afraid of being alone with you. I dread to hear the sound of my own voice and my vapid comments. I wait for the almost imperceptible wince when I know I've offended your good taste or irritated you by my lack of comprehension. Oh, it's rather like a Russian novel. My terror makes me say idiotic things and I plunge deeper and deeper into the bog.
There's no reason for feeling like this. It's only your acute sensitivity that makes you have these feelings.
Oh, and I know you don't like women. You don't like touching me. I had a violent quarrel with Rafe. He said that sometimes he could see that, well, I revolted you physically. Of course, he was being jealous and trying to hurt me, but all the same, I knew he was right. I never came into your bedroom after that.
But you must. You must come in whenever you want to. Oh, it's all my fault. I don't appreciate you enough. It's just my low feelings and my battling with my writing. You must understand that.
Frightened of being a limpet. Of clinging to you when all you want to do is throw me off and go on your way.
Listen to me.
No. Why am I raking all this up now? I realise that my life with you is limited. I've never hoped that it would be permanent. I've no pride. I'd do anything, no matter how abasing, to keep you with me. A few words from you and you can throw me into transports of happiness or dash me to despair. Sometimes I've left you and shed a deluge of tears you never saw.
You mustn't feel like this. You must always tell me.
I will never tell you again how I care for you, I promise. I'll not resurrect it to hurt you or Rafe either. I'll say it once and for all. After that, it'll go somewhere deep down inside me. Last time I slept with Rafe, he was so happy. But I cried little while he slept. What a savage, cynical fate it was that my love could not be used by you. How can I tell you? I adore every curl on your beard, every hair on your body. Little things make me ridiculously happy. The smell of your place in your sponge and your long artistic fingers and your hat. When I see it from my window coming across the top of the garden wall, and I know I shall soon hear your voice.
But I feel like that too. When I stand behind you, and you're engrossed in your painting, and your eyes are filled with eagerness.
Rafe is kind and loving, and I don't think I shall regret marrying him. Just tell me that you love me as a friend.
That is absurd. Dearest dear, I love you much, much more than as a friend. My dear, sweet, angelic creature, I could not live without you. You're one of the most important things in my life and always will be. Oh, and what am I? Poor, miserable creature twice your age. I sometimes think that all I've ever brought you is unhappiness. Pray that's not so. I know my love for you is not what you deserve, but such as it is, it's yours forever. I hope it's strong enough to bring some happiness to our relationship. Oh, I sometimes wish that I was 24, a college athlete, blue eyes, and I'm just a stupid old man.
Well, I like brown eyes best. And anyway, who but you wasn't or isn't or wouldn't be a bore at 24, you stupid old man.
Well, hello.
Rafe. Rafe, the answer is yes.
Carrington.
Rafe, I'm very happy for you and Carrington. I wanted you to know that. I'm not very good at expressing my feelings. I never have been.
I've never been much good at it either.
I thought that you might think that things might change because of it. Because of Carrington. Because of all the others. My feeling for you just gets deeper and deeper every year.
Things will never change for me.
I suppose I could do without my right arm. Wouldn't be the same. I'll say this just once. Perhaps never to say it again. How much I love you both. I could never live without you both. You knew that anyway. I didn't have to make that declaration just because of my low spirits and vague fears. You understand that? I found a new poem amongst the metaphysicals today. Another one by Andrew Marvell. His love poems are just so delicious. Just listen to this.
I'm sorry to do this to you all. You all look so comfortable, but we've got to move on. We're going over there to where they played croquet. Come along. Oh, croquet's a wonderful game for working off one's frustrations, and with many a ball cannoned off the lawn by one guest or other doing just that. Now, just allow me to tell you that the Bloomsbury Code of Conduct held that love while of supreme importance, was only to be considered admirable if it was wedded to absolute integrity. Integrity represented complete and unflinching honesty. And that meant the freedom to seize upon the eccentricities and weaknesses of one's friends with relish and delight. A pastime that led inevitably to the game of character assassination. Come along, please. And what could be easier than to discuss one's health or sexual or psychiatric problems the Bloomsbury way, with integrity? But we come to a couple of rather curious couples. First, the avowed homosexual Keynes and Lydia from the Ballet Russe. Second, Duncan Grant, erstwhile lover of Lytton Strachey and the self-same Keynes, and Vanessa Bell, wife of the art critic Clive. Could either case truly be a love match?
Are you happy to be working with Massine again?
We have worked so long as dancing partners, it is natural to be together. For Massine, it was tragedy that Diaghilev gave him a sack. But Diaghilev is always like this with his lovers. But first, it is Nijinsky. When he hears of his marriage, it is finished. Then it is madness. Did I tell you I saw him for the last time? They bring him to the ballet, Petrushka. In their minds, they think it will cure him to see. I see him in a box. He sits quite still. He looks at nothing. Then backstage, I go to him in my costume still. It is how we dance together. I say his name, and smile, and stretch my arms. His eyes change. For one moment he knows. He remembers. Then nothing. Well, it is now the same with Massine. When he tells Diaghilev he will marry Vera, the English dancer, next day is a letter. You must go. But Massine does not go mad. He makes a new company. And now Diaghilev has a big flop on his head. Well, I come to him and many good dancers too. Massine is first choreographer now and has first dancers. He wants to make a new ballet, but how? Without finance. Money is his most needing.
Give me a little time, and when I return from Paris, I may be able to find some sponsors for him. Don't say anything to him now, but I do have a plan in mind.
You are so clever, Nenarochka. Well, you tell France and America how many hundreds of millions they must get, and to make the lira not sick anymore. And last week, I find my little egg with you has grown big, from 40 pounds to 100 pounds, 7 shillings and 3 pence.
Ah, well, give it me back, and I will make it 250 pounds, 6 and 8 pence.
Oh, I'm reading still your book. I like finance with style. I am in the chapter, Quantity Theory of Money. I am in a puzzle. But when you say unintellectual readers should close their eyes and read this chapter, I will not close my eyes. I must try, or I become an unadvanced person. How painful to be an advanced person, but I try.
Well, shall I explain it to you?
Oh, yes. But also, I have my income tax. It is asking a big sum.
Give that to me. I'll write to them.
Oh, in my contract with Massine, I must work out how much for each dance.
I'll look at it before you sign.
So you will go to Paris and then back to Cambridge, and I will go to Spain and then to Paris. And after your conference in Paris, what will you do in Cambridge?
I feel so bored with Cambridge. I've started up my old studies in Babylonian weights and measures again. It's quite useless. Absurd, in fact. But I get absorbed into it to the point of frenzy. I stay up all night. A Babylonian magician must have cast a charm. I found a poem for you. I don't believe it. It was written by a Babylonian woman 2,000 years before Christ.
Before Christ?
Perhaps it's the earliest we know. I'll read it to you. Come to me, my Ishti.
No, it is woman's poem. I shall read for you. Come to me, my Ishtivar, and show your virile strength. Push out your member, and touch it with my little place. Oh, it is beautiful. Look, I smile from head to foot. When I read, touch it with my little place, I feel thrillings for you.
I like that woman. She's direct, like you. I shall miss you so much over the next few months. Lydia, I wish you could come with me. We should get married. Then I should never have to leave you. Will you have me?
Oh, Maynard. To have you is everything in my life.
I want to give you this to have until you can come with me to choose one.
Oh, it is too big. It would lose me. And your Bloomsbury friends will see. I know they want me not to marry you. We must wait. Oh, Menarochka, I like to be married to you. We fit so well together. Sometimes I can dance and all the time we touch each other.
I know you were married. Did you get a divorce?
Oh, yes.
Where?
What does this matter? I was so young, I forget this man. No one will remember. It was in Russia, and Russia is now a communist state. Thomasin now make his new ballet for Russia communists. It is about steel, and the set is all machinery moving like arms and legs with steam out of their mouths. It's dernier cri, and Masin dances the young worker. I laugh.
This divorce, do you have any papers?
I think lost.
Well, where is Barocchi now?
Oh, this is not Barocchi. It is Igor.
Igor?
We were too young.
Are you telling me that you have been married twice?
Yes, but they're both old shoes with holes in bottoms.
What exactly does that mean in a legal context?
It's a Russian expression for things gone and finished.
It won't do for an English marriage license. Are you divorced from the old shoe Barocchi?
Not yet. But he is nothing. A piece of paper that blows in the wind. I shall get an annulment. I shall ask the Pope.
You must see my lawyers. Well, let's forget about all this now, hmm? We'll go for a walk in the gardens, away from the rest of them.
Sebastian, what's that you're doing? You're training for the circus.
No, it's one of my hobbies. I find it immensely satisfying and soothing to the nerves. In fact, I have a theory about it.
Yes, I'm sure you do. Have you seen Lytton and Duncan?
No.
I told them we'd arranged a game of croquet. Such a delightfully vindictive game. To play?
No, but I imagine I could learn. What are the principles of the game?
Would you play billiards? What a silly question to ask an Oxford man. Of course, they spend most of their time at the table. Well, the game is played with larger, harder balls, quite attractively painted, and the object of the game is to make contact with a short upright post.
Ah, I think I might master that.
Lytton will teach you. He's an expert.
Yes, I'm sure.
It needs skill, for one must hit one's opponent's balls and put them out of action.
I have a theory about the erotic significance of ball games. Cricket, billiards, the game the Basques play, boules, you must have seen from France, hurling steel balls against a short post. Hockey even comes into it, where the satisfaction of the players comes from the punishment of rounded objects.
You have, it seems, been studying the theories of that man, Dr. Freud.
Oh, yes. I feel the new psychoanalysis is the most exciting prospect. I intend to go to Vienna and sit at his feet.
Did I tell you? Oh, Lytton, hello there. We want you to make up a four in croquet. You can partner Sebastian here.
I'm sure we'll make a magnificent partnership. There's nothing I like more than teaching a beginner.
Lytton's an expert.
Oh, yes. Runs in the family. My grandparents lived in India, you know. They used to play regularly. I remember my grandmother once chasing a tiger out of the garden in Darjeeling with a croquet mallet.
We were just talking about the new analysis. Did I tell you? I went to see Dr. Martin in Austria.
Oh, Dr. Martin.
Yes. Brilliant intellect. And saint. You only had to look into his eyes to know that he was gazing into the depths of your soul. The first time we met was in his garden. It was a fresh spring morning, lilacs, magnolias, and I felt a sudden rush of exhilaration. As though I was having cocktails with God.
And what did he tell you?
Well, for my physical ailments, he gave me a series of injections of milk, goats and various kinds, and other things quite in advance of the time. And in analysis, he told me that my love of dressing up, 'tis a passion I can't resist, well, that was because my mother insisted on dressing me up in these elaborate party frocks. Well, why should we stick to the drab fashions of our own age? I just adore the Elizabethans and the Renaissance.
Oh, I do agree. What a pity one can't change one's sex. I'd love to be a dowager duchess with all the rustling silks and satins.
And my longing to be loved, that, he said, all began with my brothers. Oh, they were all handsome and so attractive, and I adored them. But they rejected me, a mere girl. Yes, I think it's true. You should try him, Lytton, for your sciatica. He gives wonderful injections distilled from rat's testicles.
What do you think of this new psychoanalysis, Lytton?
I think it's all a ludicrous fraud. Lady Lesborough, you know her, of course, sent her son-along to be cured of homosexuality. After 4 months and £600, he could just bear the thought of sleeping with a woman. It would take another 6 months and £800 for him to actually do it.
Take Sebastian away and coach him. The mallets are in that box over there. Ah, Duncan, have you seen Vanessa?
Ah, she's working, and when Vanessa paints, there's no dragging her away.
Well, then you'll have to accept me for a partner. Hello. Oh, here's Lydia. She likes games.
Lydia, will you be my partner?
Oh, shall I? Will you also play this game, maybe?
No, you play with Duncan.
You don't have to play.
Oh, no, but my head is learning strong.
These, Loppy, are the obstacles.
But they are so low. Everyone can leap over.
Oh. No, that is not the game. You have to play with these mallets.
Oh, yes. I understand this. I am a child in Russia to visit my faraway uncles. I watch game like this. They ride on horses each.
Hop on.
And they have these mallets.
Uh-huh.
Oh, but first, they cut off the head of a young cow, a male cow.
A cow?
Yes. Then, they sew it up in a sack. It is some blood, but no matter. Then, they strike this head on their horses to send it past 2 posts. Oh, more big than this. It is good in the snow when the blood splash so red when they hit.
I have heard of croquet turning into a blood sport. I remember once when Lady Harrow ripped off the last hoop and chased Mrs. Asquith with it.
Mrs. Asquith?
Yes. They both finished up in the asparagus business in Spain, as I recall.
Come along, Duncan, make a start.
Righto.
Oh, good shot.
Oh.
Another turn.
Oh,
No, it's not your turn yet.
oh, sorry.
Nice placing.
Now, Sebastian, you go through the first hoop and then hit Duncan's ball. Make it nice and furrow, it'll go much. Good, now up and hit Duncan.
Oh, bad luck.
There.
My turn.
Yes, nice and gently does it. Oh,
Oh, yes. As Emerson once said, it's a happy talent to know how to play.
Oh,
sensational. Now take Duncan's ball and put it up against mine like that.
slippery balls.
Then I just give it a gentle tap. Get it up against it.
I protest! No, those are the Swedish rules. It's only in Sweden one can put one's foot on another's balls.
Oh, ever been to Sweden, Sebastian?
No, but I've always wanted to visit the Queen of the Baltic.
You sent me off towards the raspberry cave.
Oh, what could be more delicious than a bowl of luscious, ripe raspberries?
I prefer the canes, actually. Thin, whippy ones.
You'll have to miss a turn, Duncan.
I don't see why I should. Lytton can't make his own rules.
Oh, very well then. Well, Lytton, have another shot. This time, keep your feet off the ball.
Oh, just you wait. I shall have my revenge.
No, the same thing, didn't it? Oh.
Half time, I think.
Oh, with physical activity is getting a bit much for me.
Here's Millie with a tea tray. Oh, there's sandwiches and cherry cake. That'll perk you up.
Oh, just a dry biscuit for me, thank you.
A dry biscuit?
Cherry cake, my favourite.
Oh, did you say cherry cake? Well, I might manage just a thin sliver.
Ah, there you are. Just in time for tea.
Ah.
Doctor, take care of your tea.
I expect you like your tea black with lemon.
Thank you. Yes.
Sugar?
No, thank you.
I'll take them.
Duncan?
Where?
May I examine your ring?
Oh.
Very beautiful and very valuable, I imagine. Lady of the line, you're an expert on jewelry. Have a look at these. Aren't they unusual?
Oh, yes. Beautiful stone. Very well set. That's a magnificent sapphire.
They're presents from Diaghilev.
You have many of those, Marcel.
You know, I'm sure I saw some the same as those on Nijinsky's fingers when I was designing costumes. Those are almost identical.
Perhaps Diaghilev gave them to him
I know. And Nijinsky's rings are set in gold. Well, mine, as you can tell, are platinum.
Hello.
Oh, Vanessa, have you finished? Let me see. It's good. Beautiful work.
It's a study for a larger work. I don't know if I'll finish it. I like Lady Ottline's doors and coffee pots.
Coffee pot?
I have a theory about still life paintings.
Oh, how surprising.
You must tell it to me sometime, dear boy. In private.
Oh, what is it this time, Sebastian?
Yeah, well, besides the fruit and vegetables, there's so often a teapot or a coffee pot. In profile, its spout dominating the scene. Male sexual symbols both of them, it's quite obvious. Then there's the fruit, rounded shapes, pear shapes. Well, I shall write a paper on it.
Oh, you should send a copy to your dear friend, Dr. Freud. I'm sure he'd be most excited about it.
There's a very good billiard table up in the house. Why don't we finish the game inside?
You come to play, Marcel?
I'll be right along.
Vanessa, Duncan, I know you both play.
No, you make up a four. Duncan and I will come on later.
I expect you play billiards in Russia.
Of course. I can see you're upset. Is it your painting? You don't seem happy with it.
I'm not.
You always underrate yourself. Why do you do it? Is it Virginia?
I don't know. Perhaps. Well, now my first exhibition's on. The first time I've been taken seriously as a painter. All she could say was, I'd always hoped you'd be the domestic one, and I'd be the genius. But I can see I can't indulge in that dream any longer.
She's always been jealous of you. She'll be used to it by now. She was jealous when you married. She was jealous when your child was born. She wants your sexuality, the orgasm she never had.
True. But she's a lost child. Because I was the elder sister and looked after her mother died, I'm her mother. It wasn't the child she wanted. It was the love, the attention.
She has no right to it. She's a grown woman with a husband of her own.
She needs me. And not only that, I love her. Perhaps this is the most permanent thing in both our lives.
Everybody needs you, Nessa. Sometimes you have to consider your own needs. Be selfish, like me. Selfishness is one of the true virtues, and I doubt if an artist can function without it. It's not all, is it?
When you were away last month, I thought of you in the arms of your new lover, I know this is the pattern of your life and I accept it. But when you're away, write to me. Don't keep things back from me. How you're feeling, what's going on between you. I hate it when you cut yourself off from me.
But it would hurt you to know.
It might, but I'd rather be hurt than ignorant. Tell me what you're thinking and then I'll know I haven't lost you.
You know how it is with me. I can't love except for the minute. The moment's everything. It's delights, it's impulses, it's emotions. As soon as that moment's over, it becomes the past. I'm back with you and it's all forgotten.
When I can't talk to you, I feel alone. I need to know everything's the same.
It will always be the same, for me anyway.
Duty demands restraint, fidelity. I don't feel these compulsions. The difference between you and I is that you become emotionally involved with your lovers. You never seek sexual satisfaction for its own sake. I do, as you know.
Then there's no room for real love in all of this.
Real love? Well, tell me what that is. All love is real to me. I'm not good at analyzing things. It's true, I'm not in love with you. The best I can say is I couldn't live anywhere else but with you at Charleston. I never had a home, you know. First India and Burma and schooling here. You're home to me, Angelica.
I know I can't expect passion. I've known that for a long time. I think you're afraid of it, afraid you might be buried underneath an avalanche of it.
That's probably true.
People think I'm calm and serene.
But the truth is, you suppress my passion to take what you can give me.
Lovers come and go. I can't change and I don't want to. You and Charleston and Angelica are the real things. And yes, sir. One thing we share and always will, the most important in our lives. Our painting. Isn't that finally the best? To paint together, to share our deepest things. That's for you and only. I want you to paint great works. I want you to paint me a big abstract I can put in my room. Paint under your fingernails and your hands smell of turf. That's what I will always come back to. Oh, now I must go. The scene is making a water ballet and he wants me to practice. Will you come and watch?
No, I think I'll just sit here for a little while. Elsa, you feel worried about your painting? Well, I feel like that too. I envy you. Because with a husband and children and all bunches of abandoned lovers, you're sexually free and your painting's so strong, something happens. No, it's just that sometimes I wonder how women can ever function as artists. These things you talk of are obstacles. Women are never free. We want them, of course. Children, sexual love. But we suddenly pay the price for it. Perhaps it is worth it. I don't know. I don't think there is an answer.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you recall our first tour, if you came on it indeed, you might remember that the swimming pool was a centre of gardens and life.
So we are now going over to the pool, over there. Come along. When the pool was built, Lady Otterline loved to take to the waters in her unique swimming garb. Oh, not for her, the usual striped woolen garment of the day, no, no. She had to have her own design. She usually took to the waters in a Grecian tunic, fastened at one shoulder, in which she would drift along while the garment billowed about her. The other Bloomsburys either spurned bathing costumes entirely, or wore ones that were considered to be indecent by the standards of the day. A swimming pool or a lake were considered to be essential to a fashionably landscaped garden. So Garsington must have been doubly fashionable having both. Come along. The pool of Garsington, come through, please. All that poolside area over there, there's plenty of room. Now, it's undeniably the case, and unfortunate, of course, that
An English summer does not last very long. So, you may be sure that Lady Otline's guests made the most of the pool while the sun shone. And what inspiration, may I ask, would Messine derive from the bathers in the pool?
Ah, Lady Ottoline, we have a small surprise for you. Une petite surprise. Your friends here are persuaded to create a ballet in figurine for them. Now, it is not perfect. This is not the Marijinsky theater. These are not the ballet Russe. But we shall try, huh? A little bit from Nijinsky, a little bit from Mallarmé, a little bit from César. Now we begin. Ces nymphes, je les veux perpétuer. Si clairs, leur incarnat léger qu'ils voltigent dans l'air, assoupi de sommeil touffu. Image un rêve. Mon doute, à main de nuit ancienne, s'achève. En mer un mot subtil qui demeurait les vrais bois mêmes. Prouve hélas que bien seul je m'offrais pour triomphe la faute idéale de Rose. Réfléchissons. Ou si les femmes dont tu gloses figurent un souhait de tes sens fabuleux. Oh, l'illusion s'échappe des yeux bleus et froids, comme une source en fleurs de la couchance. Mais l'autre tout soupire. Dis-tu quel contraste comme brille toujours chaud dans ta toison? Que non! Par l'immobile et là ce pamoison, suffocant de chaleur, le matin frais s'il lutte, ne murmure point d'eau que ne verse ma flûte, au bosquet, arrosé d'accord. Et le seul vent, orbe de tuyaux, prompt à s'exhaler avant, qui disperse le son dans une pluie, arrive. C'est à l'horizon par remuer d'une ride, le visible et serein, souffle artificiel, de l'inspiration qui regagne le ciel. Ô bord sicilien, de calme marécage, ta langue et les soleils, ma vanité, tacite, sous les fleurs d'étincelles, comptez que je coupais ici les creux rhododendrés par le talent, quand sur leur bleu, de lointaines verdures, dédiant leur vie à des fontaines, on doit une blancheur animale au repos. Et au crime de l'an, où naissent les picots, ce vol de signaux, de taillades se sont plomb. Comptez! 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 Ballet on the sea, with sound waves. Music is not always necessary for dancers, you know.
Has there ever been a ballet of pure movement without any music?
Yes, yes, there has.
Yes, when I was young, I danced a religious ballet. It was the Aguilera's conception.
Yes, it was the legend of Joseph.
I danced Joseph.
The young Joseph.
Thank you, Lydia.
In any case, a great show, Maxine.
It's a sensation.
I'm seriously diving from you, Duncan.
Thank you, right.
I say, silly, why don't you do some of the dives you'll be doing in America? Show us what you can really do.
Some of the dives we were doing for the team.
All right, then. Imagine I'm standing on a 20-foot diving tower.
Oh, I might just manage that.
For luck.
And now I must leave you.
Oh.
Right, shall we go?
Don't spend too long talking. We don't want to be late for Lady Austin.
I want to tell you how much I admire your work.
Yes,
I've seen all your ballets, and I'd like to give you this as a memento.
No,
please,
I
please.
cannot accept this, sir.
Please.
Then I shall have to give you something too.
Oh no, that is far too valuable.
I know that one day the Aguilette will entreat me to go back to you. He shall give me another way. Now we go back inside and
And, ladies and gentlemen, we have one stop left on our tour, and we're not going very far. We're going to the main lawn behind the river there, so come along. Here we are, over here. Invitation to Lady Otterline's famous Thursday evening parties at 44 Bedford Square in London was highly sought after. So she was endeavouring to recreate the divertissement in London here at Garsington, here on the western lawn outside the house. They gathered in the early evening for their outdoor entertainment. They danced and they sang, they played charades, they theatrical readings, poetry, etc. Yet, in the 1920s, a more somber mood began to take hold. One of the great issues of the day was reparations. How much could the victorious nations of World War I squeeze from the vanquished Germany? Now, Keynes, in his job at the Treasury, thought he could escape all the pressures, but not quite, because all of his friends had their opinions too. So with political and financial storms gathering all about, could it really be goodbye to all that?
I have always been fascinated by the sea, except for once, when I was very angry with it.
And why was that?
Once we go to Spain to create our first ballet for King Alfonso. The Spanish men who unload our luggage are drunk. Drunk? Completely drunk. They drop all of our luggage into the sea. Imagine, madame, all the colors and silks of Léon Basque floating in the water. We had no money for food even. Now we have no costume.
Les Espagnols. Quel dommage. What did you do?
Well, madame, we create a different dance with little costume. It is the middle of winter. We freeze.
All of these experiments they're doing in Russia. Well, you're a scientist, Partridge. What do you think of them?
What experiments?
Well, rats and all that. You know, they seem to think that their actions resemble ours.
I don't know about the rats, but I know a few human beings who resemble rats.
So many new ideas, it's hard to keep pace with them all. I mean, there's Pavlov and his dog slobbering at the thought of food. I think I'll write some stories about some of these Freudians.
Well, I had a good Freudian limerick the other day. I think it came from a master at Balliol.
Oh, yes.
See, how did it go? The folk who frequent picture palaces don't care much for psychoanalysis. For although Dr. Freud is distinctly annoyed, they still cling to their long-standing fallacies.
Please, I don't understand this.
Then try this one. Two students of psychoanalysis corresponded on sexual fallacies. But confusion arose, and now nobody knows which Algernon was and which Alice is.
Oh, very good, Ray.
I wrote a verse recently. Tell me what you think. Yes. 1,000,000 spermatozoa, all of them alive. Out of their cataclysm, but one for Noah dare hope to survive. And out of that billion, -1 may have chanced to be a Shakespeare, another Newton, a new Don, but the one was me.
Hello, Leolda.
Thank you. Maynard!
Oh, it's amazing how ballet can turn an economist into such a physical chap. Wouldn't have anything to do with Sebastian Sprott now, would it?
We're telling limericks. Come and join us.
Sorry, I'm not in the mood. Not after what I've been reading in the Times today.
Why, what's in the Times?
Oh, idiots and cretins. All they can think about is grabbing gold and revenge. Oh, the hang the Kaiser gang.
Oh.
Some of them are still harping on that old slogan. I'm beginning to think that some of them might actually do it.
You'll be in Paris for the League conference?
Yes, I've just been trying to sort out my speech, jotting a few ideas down. But they're so pig-headed, I wish I could just knock a bit of sense into their heads.
Well, who are the worst offenders?
There's Clemenceau, in his grey gloves, sitting on a brocade chair. He's old, tired, and cynical. You see, France wants Germany ground down and humiliated so that she won't have to think of a threat from that quarter for a generation or two.
Well, it is understandable. After all, France was devastated.
No one grudges a fair sum for rebuilding. 1,500 million should be adequate, but when I hear talk of 10,000 million, I despair. Where is the money to come from? Then there is Lloyd George, a representative of Neolithic man, and Wilson, who could well think of wiping off America's war claims in favor of Austria and Belgium and France, yet he's still demanding his pound of flesh. A general bonfire of these reparation claims is what we want.
Oh, of course, but they'd never consent. What's the next step?
Well, to scrap the treaty and to start again. It's not working. But listen to this, Ray. Germany should be squeezed like a lemon for every bit of juice till the pip squeaks.
Oh, that's preposterous.
This about a nation that is already starving. Men don't starve quietly. They don't sit and watch their children die and become cripples in silence. What they will reap is anarchy, and then revolution. Men who have nothing to lose will listen to any demagogue who promises some hope for the future.
Yes, what's happening in Italy is enough to make one think. These new fascisti are a sign of the times, an entirely irresponsible private organization usurping the power. This should belong to the state, surely. And the violence they go in for, it's incredible to think they can actually get away with it. Yet, the people just sit there dumbly. They don't complain. No, they just seem resigned to it.
It's the same all over the world, Aldous. A blank, fatalistic attitude to acts of cruelty and oppression, and it doesn't matter who commits them. It could be the government or any person holding power.
Oh, well, yes, you only have to look at Russia.
You know there are 15 million unemployed in Europe now?
I know!
Tinder, that's what they are. And as for the currencies, the Austrian crown is worth a mere penny, and the German mark practically nothing. Well, such inflation has never been heard of.
I was there, in Germany, a few months ago. There are bands of homeless children just roaming the streets, where they sleep in derelict houses that were destroyed by the gunfire. And then they steal from shops, you know, they rob people, watches, rings, that sort of thing. They don't want money. 500 miles away, buy a loaf of bread. I saw them with my own eyes. Somebody should feed them.
Of course, we should build up a prosperous Germany again. We need Germany to feed these people and to feed Russia, too.
What? You mean to feed those Bolsheviks?
Yes.
Oh,
Well, the latest is that some politicians want to blockade Bolshevik Russia. They're afraid of Russia and Germany getting together. What they don't realize is that the threat of two great nations starving together is dynamite.
And you think the other delegates will listen to you?
No, they'll listen all right, but nobody's going to agree with me.
Well, you must make them, Maynard.
What they don't seem to realize is that the Brotherhood of Man is not an idealist slogan. It's not something that some dreamy intellectual in a knitted tie has thought up. It's a reality.
Well, we've always believed that, and it's true.
Of course it is. If nations are happy and prosperous, they spread general well-being.
Yes.
If they are bitter and humiliated, they breed hate. And the consequences of that could be a world disaster that will make the last war seem like a children's squabble.
Yes, it's true, of course. Vengeance has a predictable outcome. Compassion at least opens the way for a lasting peace.
Oh, you English, you can speak of compassion. Your country was not invaded. Your home was not destroyed. The Germans took everything from us, our treasures, our women, even our food.
Maria, compensation must be given, of
Oh,
course.
yes, and you tell me, how? What is compensation for the heart, for a child?
Bravo,
Now, Maria, it is mostly a question of industry and economics.
The Germans back their industries, they'll make McDonald's.
Well, that is not our intention
The
at all.
Germans will laugh at your intentions. They'll say, oh, yes, please, give us 10 more years, give us 20.
Of course, she may be right, you know.
True. Well, I can't sit here and spoil your party with my gloomy thoughts. I best be off right now.
Oh, Maynard, stay. Oh, Lydia, make Maynard stay, please. We have party now. Yes, come and have a drink. Come on, Sebastian. Sit down, everybody, please. I have a new game for you.
I hope it's not too intellectually taxing.
I hope it's not too emotionally revealing.
I want you to reveal...
Oh, I knew it.
To tell us about your best moment and your worst experience. Aldous, you can start. And when you've finished, name the next victim.
Very well. My worst experience. Well, I'd have to say my worst experience was when I started teaching at Eton. I came into the lower fourth. There was an uproar. I shouted, "Settle down! Oh, do be quiet!" But no one paid the slightest bit of attention. No. Instead, the boys in the back rows made up bridge balls and played throughout the class. The boys in the middle rows played noughts and crosses in chalk on the backs of the boys in front of them, and the front rows got out pea shooters. Yes, and attacked them all.
What did you do?
Well, I read the poems of Paul Verlaine aloud until the end of term when I got the sack.
And your best?
Ah, now that's easy. I lost my sight as a boy. I saw absolutely nothing for 2 years. Well, I had an operation. When the surgeon removed the bandages, I saw for the very first time a dark shadow. And I knew it was my mother standing by the window. Merci.
My best. I was with Diaghilev in Italy a few years ago, and I see these islands. They tell me that when Odysseus sailed from Troy, the sirens called to him from these islands. Oh, there, nothing much. Big piles of rock, nothing will grow on them. But as I look, I see the sirens. They beckon me.
Machine! Machine!
Nothing like that. I said to myself I must have these islands, but I have no money. So each time I go to Italy, I look. But then, 2 months ago, I buy them. My island, my dreams.
But what on earth will you do with such rocks?
I have no idea. Maybe one day I will go and live there and create ballets. My wealth? Oh, I have many wealth. Perhaps the day that Diaghilev gave me the sack, I tell him I'm going to marry the dancer Sokolova. Well, she's English, Hilda Manning. Diaghilev wants to change her to Manning Glover.
Oh, dreadful!
He tells me, marry her, then go. He did the same thing to Nijinsky, and Nijinsky was destroyed. But me, I go, and I take his best dancers with me. Ha ha! Lydia!
Well, all my life is best moments, and many worst. One worst is when I dance Petrushka with Leonid
No,
Ushka.
Lydia, not here.
Yes,
No.
it is pas de deux. And I raise my leg very high, a développé. As my leg comes down, something slips.
Lydia!
My second développé is not so high. My third is very low, because I lose my knickers. So I just take them off and throw them into the wings. So, and I start all over again. My best. It is now. Yesterday, Maynard asked me to marry him.
And she has accepted.
Congratulations!
Duncan.
Ah, I believe these are yours?
Thank you.
Look, there are no bad moments. Or if there were, I have forgotten them. I regret nothing. No. And good ones. Well, they happen all the time.
Here, here.
Maynard.
Yes.
Come on, come along.
Thank you, Duncan. Best. The day I saved the British Treasury £10 million. Worst. The day Aldous asked me to invest £35 for him, and I lost a lot, I'm afraid.
But he got it back by the end of the week, yes?
I did too, yes.
Yes. Carrington.
Oh, I couldn't possibly. Sebastian, your best.
At an Oxford party, when I heard the Prince of Wales say to Mountbatten, "That man's got quite a smashing tie."
Oh, which tie, Sebastian?
Which tie? The one I'm wearing. I had it copied from an Aubrey Beardsley print.
I know Aubrey well. Well, that is very decorative, isn't it?
There's a lesser known Beardsley on the back.
Oh, yes, extremely decorative.
Oh, Sebastian.
Oh, my goodness.
Your eyes.
Oh, my best. Oh, I think when my mother gave me the famous pearls she just bought, they belonged to Marie Antoinette.
And your worst?
When I sold them last week.
You're wearing them now.
No, I sold them to pay off the debts on the farm. These are fakes. Lytton.
No. They're both unspeakable. Besides, Huxley's sitting over there with his pencil poised, ready to write it all down.
Oh, we can't risk that. We must play something else.
Yes.
Sebastian, can juggle for us.
Yes. Please, I saw you training. What would you like to use? Orange, apple.
Apple.
Ah, very much.
Oh!
Shall we try that one again?
Start again.
Oh, you rotten, you've stolen my apples. I'll have to steal them back.
Now, shall we all do some dancing?
Oh, yeah, wonderful.
Aldous, you know about jazz records. Choose one. There's a pile over there by the gramophone.
Very well. Now, which one of you two will dance with me? Vanessa. All right.
How about some honky-tonk piano?
Listen, dance with me.
Oh, but you know I can only do the minuet.
Just try for once.
Come, let your hair down and dance.
What's wrong with my hair?
Nothing.
Are you sure?
Very sorry. There's something wrong with the gramophone.
Oh, good.
Oh, Leonush, they can sing for us.
Yeah. No.
Please, yes,
No.
please. Something we can dance to.
Something you can dance to. What?
The old one, when we were here before.
That very old song.
Yes.
Au jardin de mon père, les lilas sont fleuris. Au jardin de mon père, les lilas sont fleuris. Tous les oiseaux du monde viennent y faire leur nid. Auprès de ma blonde, il fait bon, fait bon. Auprès de ma blonde, il fait bon dormir. Tous les oiseaux du monde viennent y faire leur nid. Tous les oiseaux du monde viennent y faire leur nid. La caille, la tourterelle et la jolie perdrix. Auprès de ma blonde, il fait bon, fait bon. Auprès de ma blonde, il fait bon dormir. Que donnerez-vous, ma belle, pour avoir votre ami? Que donnerez-vous, ma belle, pour avoir votre ami? Je donnerai Versailles, Paris et Saint-Denis. Auprès de ma blonde, il fait bon, fait bon. Auprès de ma blonde, il fait bon dormir.
Now there's something I need to tell you all. When I invited you here for the weekend, it was for a purpose. I wanted to have as many of my old friends around me as I could. Then I said goodbye to Garsington. This is the last party I shall have here. You see, I've decided to sell the house. I don't really want to, but I can't afford to keep it on. So there it is. I'll be moving to Gower Street. You'll be as welcome there as you always were here. I don't want to make a speech. I just wanted to tell you. What I've always wanted is to help all those talented young artists and writers develop their gifts. I, alas, wasn't among the creative ones. I always longed to write or paint, but that wasn't to be. Perhaps in another life this will be granted me. So now I'm afraid it's goodbye to you all. And I hope you shall remember the good times here. Like I shall. Always.
Lady Otterline, I would like to say that I'm deeply sorry to hear that you're moving from Garsington. You have proved to be a generous and extremely supportive friend over the years. I'd like to say on behalf of myself, and I'm sure everybody here, thank you. And I wish you every bit of happiness in the future.
Should all acquaintance be forgot for the sake of old lang syne? For old lang syne, my dear, for old lang syne, we'll take a cup of kindness yet for the sake of old lang syne. Hooray! Hooray! Hooray!
Champagne will now be served in the Red Room.
Are you coming up to the house?
No, you go up, dear. I'll be up shortly.
Don't be too long.
Who will be the ghosts of Garsington? I know I shall. Whoever moves into this house will glimpse me sitting on the lawns in my deck chair, reading in the sun. Lydia and Messine will pirouette across the lawns under the cedars and disappear into the mists rising from the lake. And the artists, with their easels set, will be glimpsed for a moment and then be gone. Like that insubstantial pageant faded, leaving not a rack behind. Just the faint smell of turpentine on the breeze. Lawrence and Frida, Virginia and Vanessa, Siegfried in his uniform, and Bertie Russell arguing with Maynard after dinner. They'll all be here. The house will be full of them. There'll be a burst of laughter which will disappear on the turn of the staircase. There'll be an air of excitement which no one can quite explain, and there'll be love. A word I hardly dare to use, but love will be there too. In the last hot sun of summer, an Indian summer. We'll all be back, and we'll never leave. The ghosts aren't here yet. They're hiding under the trees. Waiting.
The ghosts of Garsington. Actually, when you think about it, they're still alive. We have a legacy of their books. Painting, poetry, economics, philosophy. They're a rather substantial lot of ghosts, you know. Which brings us to the end of our tour this afternoon, and we wish you all a very good afternoon.
Au jardin de mon père, les lilas sont fleuris. Au jardin de mon père, les lilas sont fleuris. Tous les oiseaux du monde viennent y faire leur nid. Auprès de ma blonde, il fait bon, c'est bon, c'est bon. Auprès de ma blonde, il fait bon dormir. Tous les oiseaux du monde viennent y faire leur nid. Tous les oiseaux du monde viennent y faire leur nid. La caille, la tourterelle et la jolie perdrix. Auprès de ma blonde, il fait bon, c'est bon, c'est bon. Auprès de ma blonde, il fait bon dormir. Que donnerez-vous, ma belle, pour avoir votre amie? Que donnerez-vous, ma belle, pour avoir votre amie? Je donnerai Versailles, Paris et Saint-Denis. Auprès de ma blonde, il fait bon, c'est bon, c'est bon. Auprès de ma blonde, il fait bon dormir.